Okay, we are still finding the missing side of a right triangle using the Pythagorean theorem. And that is our learning goal. Remember that your mathematics chart has your Pythagorean theorem formula. Sorry, I had a brain freeze. Pythagorean theorem formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, it's on your formula. It always will be there. Today I'm going to teach you a little trick, but you are going to be using real life the Pythagorean theorem to find C or to find A or B. And all these are going to have pictures for the most part, so you're going to find your right angle. Sometimes you have to draw your right angle, so here my right angle would be right here. I would draw it in there, then I would take and draw my arrow to find my C. Okay, some of these you will be finding C, some of these will be finding A and B. I am trying to find if they ever, which I don't see one in here. So I want to do two things, okay? Some of them it's kind of hard to see what you're looking at. I think we'll try number 7 or number 8 together, okay? Let's do one of those. But I want to do one where you're finding C also. So I think we'll do number 13 also. So let's start out with number 7, okay? It says a sailboat captain knows that the lighthouse on the coast is 32 meters tall. The distance from the front of the sailboat to the top of the lighthouse is 40 meters. How far is the sailboat from the center of the base of the lighthouse? So it's very important that you be able to figure out where to put your numbers. When it says that the lighthouse is 32 meters tall, they're talking about this distance right here. How tall is it? So on this one, I would be putting 32. Okay, if you notice, it's forming a right triangle. It says the distance from the front of the sailboat to the top of the lighthouse is 40 meters. Well, that obviously is this part here. They want to know how far is it from here to here, the base of the lighthouse to the sailboat. So this is what you're looking for right here. Okay, now if you notice, here's your right angle. So if I draw my arrow like we've asked you to do, that will identify this as C, and I can make this A and this B. It, like I've said before, it does not matter what is A, what is B. It only matters which one is identified as C. So I'm going to write my formula. A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. I'm going to do this two ways. I'm going to do it the long way, and then I'm going to show you my shortcut. Okay? So if I am looking for A, I'm going to write A squared plus, what's my B? 32 squared is equal to 40 squared, which is my C. So the long way, I've got 32 squared, and that is A squared plus 1024 is equal to, make sure you're doing this with me, 40 squared, and I get 1600. Remember, I have to have my constants on one side, my variable on the other. So therefore, I'm going to zero pair my 1024, which means I have to subtract it from both sides. Okay? That would zero pair. I'd have A squared is equal to 1600. Subtract 1024. Make sure you're always looking at your numbers that you're putting in your calculator. You know, the data that you get back is only as good as the information that you put in the calculator. And that's not my answer because that's the square off of the side that is A. So we need to do the square root as the last step. Second square root 576. Get out from underneath there and hit enter, and I get A is equal to 24. Okay, so that's the long way. Here's your shortcut for this. Okay, A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. I want it every time. Okay, Then you can write a squared plus 32 squared. Can't even write correctly here. 32 squared is equal to 40 squared. Now, rather than figure it all out, I can do subtract 32 squared from both sides, and I get this 0 pairs. A squared is equal to, now, 40 squared subtract 32 squared, but remember I still need to take the square root. So you can do this in 2 steps, or you can do it in 1. I'll show it to you both ways. 40 squared subtract 32 squared, I get an answer of 576. Then I would take second square root, 576, get out from underneath my square root symbol, and I'd have 24. Okay, that's one way. Okay, and that might be easiest and less confusing for most of you. So I did 576, then I took the square root, and I got A is equal to 24. The other thing that is acceptable is this. Second square root. At this stage right here, 40 squared subtract 32 squared, hit the arrow out and hit enter, and I get 24. All right, so A is equal to 24, and you could write it as A is equal to 24 or B is equal to 24. Either way works for me. Okay, so non-negotiable steps. First step, write down the formula. Second step, show where you're using your numbers, and then you may do the last step as far as I'm concerned in the calculator. Okay, but you need to know whether you're subtracting or adding. So remember, if you get A or B, you're finding A or B, you're subtracting. If you're finding C, you are adding. And I'm going to go over that one more time. We're going to turn to number 13. Well, let's see if number 13 is a C. Nope, 13 is not a C. So let's go back. And let's look at this one, number 4 that I did. Okay? All right. So first step, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Hope you're on number 4. Okay, I drew my right triangle in. I drew my arrow here, C. I've got 9 squared plus 12 squared is equal to C squared. This is where all you would do then, you can either work it all the way out, or second square root, 9 squared plus 12 squared. Get out from underneath the radical sign and hit enter, and I've got C is equal to 15. Okay, so obviously F is my answer. Okay? All right, one last thing before I let you go that I want to go over. Okay? A lot of times they don't give you a picture. So you have to draw, well, 2 more things then, I guess. First off, they talk about swimming pools, football fields, soccer fields, those kinds of things. Realize that all those things are rectangles. They'll tell you a rectangular swimming pool, or they'll tell you a football field. And then they'll say the side is, so here's an example. Football field, let's say the side is 12 and the length is 15. What is the diagonal? And they use TV sets sometimes because TV sets are essentially a rectangle. I highly suggest you get used to drawing a picture. Here's my football field. I know I can't draw a rectangle. And you label it. And what they're asking for, when you get a diagonal, they're asking you to go from corner to corner. Okay? If you notice when I go to corner, I have one right triangle up there. I have another right triangle down here. It doesn't matter which one you use. Whatever one you're comfortable with. Okay? I have a right angle in the corner. I'm going to draw my arrow across, and you notice that the diagonal is C. Okay? You can put your letters anywhere you'd like to put, so it doesn't matter if 12 is here and 15 is here, or 15 is here and 12 is here. Okay? So if you want I will do this, but then you're just going to solve it like a Pythagorean theorem. Draw a picture of what they're telling you it is. It'll always be a rectangle, okay? All right, one more thing. If you're given three numbers, let's say I'm given the numbers 11, 14, and 15, and I'm asked, is this a right triangle? Do these lengths make a right triangle? Well, we know that the hypotenuse, the diagonal side of a right triangle, is always the longest. So this has to be C, okay? This has to be A, and this has to be B, or this is B and this is A. Like I said, it doesn't matter. So all I would need to do is do A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Now, put in my numbers. 14 squared plus, well, I did that backwards, didn't I? 11 squared plus 14 squared is equal to 15 squared. So let's do this. 11 squared plus 14 squared is what? 317. And that is supposed to equal 15 squared in order to be a right triangle. So is 317 equal to 225? No. So it cannot be a right triangle. This is not a right triangle. Okay? So if you're given numbers, or sometimes you're given examples, and you're asked, is this a right triangle? If the numbers don't work, remember the longest side always has to be C. Then it is not a right triangle if you don't get two sides of your equation that are equal. Okay? Be careful, sometimes they give you examples where they give you side lengths on some, like they'll give you this is 5, this is 4, but then, or they'll give you this square is 16, and so then you would have to figure and then this is let's say that side is 3, okay? Well, that doesn't work because it's smaller than 5, so that wouldn't work. But sometimes they give you some that are side lengths and some that are areas. Remember, if this is inside here, this is the area, okay? So you would have to take the square root of that area in order to find this side length. Anyways, I will find some examples of those, and before we are done, give you an example where they've done that so that you are prepared for that in case it's on an assessment, okay? Anyways, that's it for today. Do your real life practice. We'll be coming around to help you as you're needed. Remember, you're going to be going back and forth, finding A or B or finding C. Have a great day.